In 1979, Ridley Scott's Alien brought an eerie creature from a strange world into theaters. The UK-US production with an R rating had costs of $10 million and made alone in America 8 times its budget back. There have been so far 6 sequels, prequels, whatever. For the new Alien abominations, see Cub vs. Alien. The 2 Alien vs. Predator crossovers are not part of the official so-called Alien series. Reviews can be found in the Predator retrospective. Alien was a great success with audiences and critics, and is a masterpiece in science fiction and horror. The same, this time science fiction and action, goes for James Cameron's sequel from 1986, Aliens. Inspiration for the screenplay apparently provided the story Discord in Scarlet from 1939 by A.E. van Vogt. Together with 2 further short stories and a new written third, the book was published again as a coherent novel in 1950 as The Voyage of the Space Beagle, an allusion to the ship, the HMS Beagle, Charles Darwin traveled with in 1831. In this very interesting book, of which some stories are also published as comics, the author describes crew adventures of an exploration spaceship, which meet with bizarre, strange and usually aggressive aliens. The obvious parallels to the movie led to a legal dispute ending with $50,000 for Vogt. But the novel was apparently not the only source of inspiration. In 1958, Edward L. Cain's independent movie It, The Terror from Beyond Space was about a second Mars mission trying to find out what happened with the first. They find the former captain and want to bring him back to Earth as the only survivor. During the flight, he constantly tells about a creature that killed the others. They don't believe him until the creature starts also chasing the second crew through the spaceship. The super cheap production has a very high trash entertainment value. It includes the basic idea with an alien on board of a spaceship, which hides in storage rooms, takes out the crew members one by one, and just can be beaten with the opening of the airlock. In Mario Bava's Planet of the Vampires from 1965, 2 spaceships land on the planet Aura, from which they received an emergency signal. During landing, both crews lose consciousness. When they wake up, they try violently to kill each other for no apparent reason. Finding out that the disembodied inhabitants of Aura try to possess the bodies of the crew to escape their dying world. Here are many similarities with Alien, starting with the emergency call from the alien planet, the spaceship on the planet with a dead giant crew, which has been around for years, and the whole oppressive atmosphere. The well-done, highly entertaining movie also anticipates the end of Roman Polanski's The Fearless Vampire Killers, which came out 2 years later.
What have you got? Elliot! Good, get me a fix on this right now. Wes, Brad, controls.
Planet of the vampires, harboring a form of life worse than death. Planet of the bloodless, creatures who take men's bodies.
In 2122, the spaceship Nostromo is on its way back to Earth after a long journey. The crew is awakened earlier from their stasis chambers in order to investigate the origin of a possible emergency radio signal. One of the team involuntarily brings an alien life form on board, which kills the host during the outbreak and starts to kill the remaining crew members one by one. Alien is the definitive combination of horror and science fiction. Perfectly cast, brilliantly scored, with practical effects that still convince today. One of the best movies ever made. In 1986, James Cameron's Aliens is a direct continuation. Ellen Ripley is rescued after drifting through space in stasis for 57 years. An investigation commission does not believe the story with the alien planet, since it is 20 years home of a colony, and so far nobody saw an alien. When they lose contact, Ripley is sent back to the planet with colonial marines to save possible survivors and destroy the aliens. Once there is only one survivor, the little girl Newt. A fusion fusion reactor gets damaged during the first attack, which without repair will cause a nuclear explosion, and hordes of aliens continue to decimate the combat unit. The second part was also a worldwide hit and made its $18 million budget in the US 5 times back. This time everything is one size bigger. There are several aliens and the focus is more on the fast-paced action and less on suspense. Similar to Terminator 2, it's the blueprint which is constantly remade by most of the follow-ups. But in contrast to the newer T2, holds up much better. This is not only due to the better leads and the practical effects that have less CGI, Aliens has also a much better screenplay, in which bad guys do not suddenly become heroes thanks to star power. It also exists once again as a 15 minutes longer director's cut, which most people favor since most people are stupid. I prefer the shorter, as usual better paced theatrical version, because when it comes to Cameron, longer is not automatically better, as seen with the unnecessary special editions of Terminator 1 and 2. In 1992, David Fincher's Alien was called, I have no idea why, Alien Cubic? After Ripley's escape pod crash lands on a planet with a Foundry, Felicity and Panel colony inhabited exclusively by males, she notes that apart from her, the only survivor was an alien that now also hunts the unarmed inmates, except for her, as Ken reveals that she is growing an alien inside, which the corporation, a rescue team is already on its way, presumably wants to use as a biological weapon, just like in the last movies. The production made in the US only its $50, some say $60 million budget back, worldwide $160 million, and is considered a financial failure. The debut from the later 7 directors suffered from the start from an unfinished screenplay and different ideas about how the end product should look like, which is one of the reasons why Fincher has since disowned it, blaming studio interferences and deadlines. When Aliens came out, I would have loved to see it in the cinema, but I was too young. For part 3, I was old enough, and neither bad reviews nor the awful trailer prevented me from finally watching an alien on the big screen. The movie was total bullshit, and I was glad when the boring slug with the uninteresting story and the lame effects was finally over. I also know the oh so great director's cut or assembly cut, which has nothing to do with Fincher and is even worse, since it is still the same boring story, just unnecessarily stretched out. As usual, devastating for the pacing, making this slug crawling even slower. To deal so loveless with the hard-grown characters from part 2, Hicks and Newt both supposedly died off camera in the hypersleep chambers, and then not to come up with something better is simply a big fuck you towards fans. In my opinion, no part has hurt the franchise more than this one. In 1997, Jean-Pierre Jeannot's Alien Resurrection came to life. 200 years after her death, Ellen Ripley is brought back to life aboard a space cruiser by evil military scientists using cloning, which made her an external human with superhuman alien abilities. The separated aliens now can be used by the military as a weapon. The necessary host bodies are supplied by space pirates in form of abducted colonists. However, the aliens can't be controlled, what a shock, and use their acid blood to escape when script says so. Exactly that acid blood which made them so special in the first place and distinguishes them from all living beings in the universe, since that of all things was conveniently overlooked by the so-called scientists. Sure. The fourth Alien is of course better than its predecessor. Worse was impossible, and at higher costs, $70 million, had a similar worldwide box office, $161 million, but was supposedly not a flop, which makes no sense whatsoever. But who cares? I am not a fan of the movie, although I am one of the few people to whom the City of Lost Children and later Amélie director from France was back then not unknown. For his excellent debut Delicatessen from 1991, a good friend organized a ride to a distant art house cinema.
Who are you?
His big sister didn't know at the time that it was a horror movie, and so we got a driver. Alien 4 is passable cast and has a couple of nice action scenes, but never manages to make you care about anything what is going on. All characters are underdeveloped strangers, not even likable, and Super Ripley makes no sense whatsoever, which also goes for the entire plot.
You don't understand. I was wrong. It was so wrong.
sorry.